Hopefully, let me make sure. Oh, and I will tweet about it. Twitter, where are you? Yes, new tweet. All right. And a 3, 2, 1. Good day, fellow geeks. On this week's episode of Geeks of Azeroth, Tom's webcam isn't working. We've got patch 6.2.2 and DragonCon interview reviews a few things about Legion. All that and more on this week's episode of Geeks of Azeroth.
By geeks. About geeks. For geeks. Welcome to Geeks of Azeroth.
Hello, hello, and welcome to the show. My name's Tarley, and I apologize, Britza, I called you by your real name in the introduction.
That's okay. It's not like I'm Batman. I'm, Joker's not going to come after me or anything like that.
How's it going, Britza? It's been, what, 2 weeks since we've had a show?
Yeah, I had a brief holiday recently, so it has been quite a while. But yeah, as people can tell from the video stream, my webcam it's not that it's not working. We've now got, basically, just to quickly fill in, me and Tarley were quickly trying to get the show together. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, my webcam very specifically likes to crash my computer. And if anyone knows why it does this, it likes to specifically crash my computer when I'm in a call with Tarley and he's streaming.
That is the only time it crashes, under those circumstances.
Which, when you're doing a show with Tarley, is quite problematic. But if anyone knows why a HP webcam would crash when you're trying to video call someone, let me know, because you'll literally save my life, probably the show's life. But otherwise, yeah, it's all going well. I haven't had too much WoW time, so I can't really talk too much on that. But obviously, we got a patch, and it seems, looking at Twitter, people are happy that the patch is out, and I'm sure I'll be happy now that patch is out. And that's really all I can say, really. But there is some exciting news, and you know, we continue the long march towards Legion, however long it may be. But yeah, otherwise pretty quiet. What about yourself?
I've actually been playing WoW these last couple days since the patch came out. I know, mainly to do the time walking dungeons, and you know, the changes that came with 6.2.2 really made that, you know, worth playing, because you actually get rewards from doing the dungeons now. So been grinding towards that mount. It actually feels good to be grinding Wrath of the Lich King dungeons, you know. It feels like old times.
Oh, bless.
Well, with that, why don't we get right on to news of the week, because there isn't very much of it.
Hey, we recording? Yeah? Okay.
News of the week. That's right, it's time for news of the week, and as I just mentioned, there is not much news coming out of Blizzard lately. But as we have just discussed, 6.2.2 has been released to the game, allowing people to fly in Draenor, which I've already seen quite a few people flying around. Not myself, however. I have not got those reps to Exalted, or Revered, is it? I think it's Revered. No, it's Exalted. One of the two, but I have not.
You have to be liked by them at some point.
So I haven't managed to do that. I've done everything else. I've done the treasure thing, and I've done the Explore Draenor and the quest one. Lore Master of Draenor, yes. So,
yeah.
Almost there. But by the time I get flying in Draenor, Legion will be out, so.
Just in time for it to not be useful. Excellent.
Right. As well, coming with 6.2.2, we had the mercenary mode introduced to Battlegrounds, and you know, I did not expect it to, but it has greatly improved the Battleground queue times for Alliance players. You know, they're down to just 2 to 3 minutes, which from being 15 to 20 minutes is awesome. Very awesome.
3, that's incredible.
Yeah, definitely. And it's still probably, I haven't played a Horde character in a while, but it's still probably 30 seconds for Horde players, but...
I think I would be surprised if it had gone up at all. But, yeah, no, I haven't actually seen or heard anything from the PvP side of things, which is actually quite surprising, considering, like you say, it was such a huge part of the patch. But that's just my own ignorance more than anything else. But I'll be really interested to see whether, as well, it's balanced anything at all. I don't know. Like, obviously, we're only changing faction appearances, really. But I just wonder whether that sort of mix around of that huge pool of Alliance players into the Horde player bank might do something to make the PvP experience a bit more enjoyable in general as well.
Well, they did also nerf a lot of the Alliance racials by a bit, just trying to fix the issue. But you know, I don't think that's going to really be fixed until Legion. But
and there's a lot still in the air actually regarding those racials, particularly the human one.
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
Brian Halinka said some things on it.
Yeah. There's a lot that could be fixed for sure, but and then of course the changes to time walking dungeons, where you actually get badges just like justice points, basically, where you can grind those up and get different rewards from them, whether it be transmog items or a mount. And you know, they estimated it would take you 8 months to get the mount, but I'm more than halfway to the mount already. So
wow.
Yeah. Maybe I have no life, but, you know.
Yeah, but that's why we go into the World of Warcraft, because we have no lives. Because you can't kill that which has no life.
I was just about to say, how do you kill that which has no life? But, you know, I think that's really cool. It really actually makes it worth playing them, and I really would love to see, basically, that kind of system come back for dungeons in general, not just the old dungeons.
Yeah.
You know, an actual reason to play them. So, which, you know, with what they said in the interview with Legion, I think they will bring reason to play them back. So,
I think the biggest reassurance that I'm getting from all the Legion interviews is that even though they're probably not admitting it, and fair enough, they're not going to come out and admit 100% fault, but they are aware of what people didn't like and where they messed up and what they could do better. And I think that's the main thing to take away, is that we're not going to get another Warlords. Hopefully. Right. So
hopefully.
Hopefully, I say. Obviously, I'm not on the dev team yet. But no, otherwise, I mean, obviously the hotfixes came out, and it just seems to be like just a tidy up now of the Warlords. It feels like a tidy up of the expansion or anything else. So I don't know if this can make people more impatient for Legion or not. I don't know. It's great that this patch is out, but I'm like the kid at Christmas, you know. If I'm at the first gift, I'm now already thinking about the next gift. Like, how long am I supposed to play with this now for? Yeah,
I mean, because we already kind of know now that there are, at least most likely, not going to be any more patches to the game. 6.2.2. Yep. Well, that's it. Getting flying. You should be satisfied with that for another 9 months, or however long it's going to take.
Except until Grubby Sanctum comes out.
Grubby Sanctum, yes.
Been confirmed by us, admittedly, that Grubby Sanctum is coming out.
Yes, where he will be, you know, just in the middle of the Ruby Sanctum, basically, standing there, and we go in and kill bosses around him and then kill him.
Well, I liked the idea that Grom took a couple of the Iron Horde, and while he was being all pally with the Draenei, he kind of snuck around, got into Orgrimmar, and now we have to
see Orgrimmar again.
I think that would be, the death of WoW would come. I mean, was there anything else like about the whole? I guess what I'm trying to say, Tarley, is that how do you feel at the moment playing WoW? I mean, obviously, let's assume there are no patches, no content patches, and I use content in inverted commas. This is it. Let's say this is it until Legion comes out.
Well, you know,
can you last that long?
I'm not going to know. I mean, like right now, WoW is my filler game when I'm not playing anything else already. There just hasn't been enough to keep me interested, except for, you know, this weekend playing the time walking dungeons. You know, I kind of wish those were just open, you know, but no, not really. I mean, I've been playing my monk a little bit because they buffed it with this patch, so it's been fun to, you know, just play with the other alts that, you know, I haven't messed around with this expansion too much. But, you know, ultimately, besides just leveling all 11 classes up to level 100, you know, I just don't see much to do in the game right now.
That's fair enough. I guess I feel a little bit the same, to be honest. And again, I'm not trying to be negative about it. I'm certainly not going to unsubscribe from WoW until Legion comes out. But then you're gonna unsubscribe. Yeah, once I see how OP the Demon Hunters are. But I think there's just a little bit something unnerving that this is it. This is the final course of the mill, as it were, and we don't know when we're going to get the next one. It's just, I don't know. Food for thought. It's not a complaint. It's not a cheer or anything like that. It's just generally just a ponder that this is it. So if you're not happy with what we've got, you're going to be waiting a little while before you probably get what you want. But saying that, there's still a lot to do. Like you say, time walking's been jigged up a little bit. Ashran's been shaken up a little bit. So hopefully these experiences should be fresh for everyone, or at least a little bit fresher. And if that doesn't suit your needs, you can just fly around endlessly between raids. So who knows? We'll see what the next couple of months brings. But hopefully there is still a bit of content. I think there's certainly a lot they could do to wrap up the Dreadnought story a little bit tighter.
They definitely could add stuff. I mean, if they realize that Legion is further off than they are hoping, they should add something to Warlords instead of just leaving it. So yeah. All right, so on to the next bit of news. So the Warcraft movie trailer has been leaked by none other than the Russians. Thank you guys very much for that. I don't know, what do you think, Britza? Do you think we should play that on the stream? The bit of leaked movie information that they have been trying to cover up ever since it got put on the internet? Britza?
Sorry, that's me. I don't think that's me playing around with my mic. No, I think we'll be fine playing around with it.
Well, I'm actually just trying to find it now, and I can't actually.
What? They've taken it down? Ah!
I think maybe all access to the leak has been down. While I look for it, I'll just discuss a little bit. Yeah. So maybe the second half of a trailer was leaked, and the quality is absolutely terrible. It's like someone filming a monitor with a bad quality phone, but still, it gets you a brief glimpse of the footage of the Warcraft leak.
I'm just amazed. I remember hearing there's another podcast I listened to called The Powerful Nerdcast, and when the Deadpool trailers came out, was it Deadpool that was the big controversial leak?
Yes.
Or was it something?
And then they ended up releasing it later. So.
Yeah, that was it. And I remember them saying like they found it unbelievable that there's such thing as a bad quality leak now. I mean, my phone on my camera on my phone can shoot better quality videos than some cameras out there, and I just think, like, who's filming on their like Nokia 3310 and their old gramophone? I don't know, but it's strange that we're still getting grainy footage. But saying that, it's a leak, so it's not supposed to be a high quality stream. In any case,
well,
are you surprised?
I just can't seem to find any actual footage now. I think it's been completely eradicated from the internet.
Typical. We teased all the listeners and there's no footage. But saying that, I mean, we might as well talk more about the leak. I mean, Tarley, explain what you actually see in the leak.
What you see in the leak is, I mean, you see it starts right at a clip of the dark portal and orcs running towards it, and then you see King Lane, I think that's who it was. I mean, it's very hard to tell what's going on. You see him for a brief moment looking panicked, and then you hear Duratan like saying a few motivational things, and then he holds up a baby into the air, which is assumably his thrall, and
Is that when the Lion King music kicks in?
Yes, and then you see armies clashing and King Lane riding down on a griffin, and it's all things happening very, very quickly. It looks very much like an action movie trailer. It's just hard to explain without actually being able to show it, you know. Well, but the quality was awful, and people are complaining. They say they don't like the way the orcs look. And Duncan Jones replies on Twitter, actually, you don't like it at low res and covered in user IDs? Which,
yeah, that's it.
Which, when you look at the trailer, the whole screen was covered in one user ID, so that user ID is probably getting fired. But we'll most likely see the real thing at BlizzCon. But, I mean, still, I was hyped just from seeing this little bit of a trailer. It was completely different than what we saw at BlizzCon last year. So
that's what I was going to ask. I was going to say, was there any footage that you saw previously? But if it's fresh, then
it was fresh.
That's
yeah,
great.
A fresh trailer. Which I don't know what people are expecting the orcs to look like, because they look just like orcs from the game. So I think it looks fantastic.
I think, yeah. And at the end of the day, orcs are a really odd fantasy species to do, anyways, because there's so many different. I mean, what fantasy fiction doesn't have orcs really to some extent, or what I should say is there's a lot that have orcs, and you know, not everything's going to look like Lord of the Rings orcs, or
right.
You know, Warcraft has its own version, and I hope that you know, people who are complaining are aware of what the franchise is, and that it doesn't want to just look like, you know, typical plain. I don't know. It's got to have its authentic look, and if it's not authentic enough, still, it needs to push out the boundary. I mean, Warcraft needs to look Warcraft.
Right.
I guess.
But yeah, I mean, just seeing that leak, it made me hyped anyway. So.
Do you think that they'll be able to hold on to the trailer then? And you said you won't expect to see anything till BlizzCon. Right. You don't think they're going to be forced to reveal something or show some stills from the trailer or anything like that, or do you think we just won't hear anything then?
I really think they'll hold it till BlizzCon. I mean, you just try looking for it right now. I mean, I couldn't find every site that I had found it on before had the video taken down on. So I think they're really trying to keep it under wraps until BlizzCon, which is good. They're actually going to hold to their guns and release it at the convention. So
they've done a really good job, actually, I think, in general, of just keeping this thing under wraps.
Yeah.
You know, especially when we talked about this in the past, and I won't repeat again, but when you're showing this stuff at conventions, I think it's fair to say you have to be prepared for leaks. Someone is going to whip out a phone and record what you're showing them. But even now, like as we've just shown, you still can't see this footage, even though everyone knows it was there. And it's just, it's such a it's such a cleverly held together secret.
Yeah. And it'll most likely, because they confirmed the public unveiling of the trailer is coming this November, so I mean, you know, it's most likely the public unveiling will be at BlizzCon, so the world will be able to see it.
Woo!
Won't have to worry about leaks anymore.
Do you think one last thing, do you think the WoW movie has as much of a presence outside the WoW, or maybe let's say the WoW community? Do you think other Blizzard players, and possibly even people who aren't playing Blizzard games, are actually aware of this film?
I think a lot of old school Warcraft players are interested, and you know, people who have quit playing WoW are probably interested, but I don't think it has a huge presence yet. Once the first trailer comes out and then it starts getting hyped up by all the media, and you know, you start seeing trailers for it in movie theaters and stuff like that, that's when the real hype for it will reach other people than just the Blizzard fans. But I don't think it has that big of a presence outside of us yet.
That's fair enough.
So, anything else on that before we discuss the interview?
I just want to see something. I've seen nothing.
Right.
Apart from those photos, I've seen nothing. And even then, the edited photo, when they buffed up the lanes... shoulder pads. That was the best thing I've seen. It wasn't even official. So...
All right. Well, yeah, soon enough, Britza, soon enough. So, at Dragon Con this past week, Blizzard... a few members of Blizzard tweeted out and answered a few questions about Legion that they say they're going to discuss further at BlizzCon. So I think that's, I guess, confirming that Legion will not be out before BlizzCon. I don't know if anyone thought it would be, but anyway, I'll just go over a few of those things here and we'll discuss them. So first off, multi-strike. Multi-strike is gone. In Legion.
Oh.
In Legion, anyway.
It'll be sorely missed. By sorely, I mean not.
Let's see. We getting a new character slot, of course, but Void storage space is not being increased because there is a new transmog system officially that is going to be account-wide, and the UI very similar to Diablo 3, basically meaning when you get an item, you basically unlock that item's look forever. You can delete it, and it's account-wide. So there you go. That will actually free up your Void storage space. Woo. Demon Hunters officially starting at level 98, which is pretty awesome. Only 2 levels to get through for your leveling zone, and then you're on the track with everyone else. Survival Hunters are absolutely a melee spec, and no other class or spec is going to use ranged weapons. So just Hunters still using bows, and Survival Hunters are purely melee. Several classes are getting new and renamed resources, such as Shadow Priests getting Insanity as a resource. That's pretty cool. No more mana for Shadow Priests. Several classes are I'm not going to reread that one. Professions now have an entire team working on them. And we will see the return of profession quests.
Woo!
Cool. DPS classes will not be getting tanking or healing options.
I love this next one.
And they have plans for Jaina.
Which is as mysterious as saying she's pissed, really. She's angry.
And there was another thing, I don't see it on this list here, but confirmed by Elvine in a tweet. Adventure mode. And that's all she said, was adventure mode. More to be discussed at BlizzCon. So, I think that was the biggest one right there. Adventure mode in World of Warcraft. If you've played Diablo 3 at all, adventure mode is a very big part of that game where you can go revisit all the old zones and do current quests, kill current bosses, and get current loot. So adventure mode in World of Warcraft, what could that possibly mean?
I hope it's exactly what you've just said. I think that's exactly what WoW needs. I mean, how many times have we all played this game and you complete 4 quests in a zone, and not only have you completely made that zone redundant, but you've made about 12 other zones redundant as well. And there's zones in WoW, this is the ridiculous thing, there are areas and zones in WoW I still have never seen. And I'd love to be able just to go and hang out with them, you know, level 110, and just smash through some quests. That'd be fantastic. I'd love that.
Yeah, I think adventure mode is a very... I mean, I'm sure it won't work exactly like it does in Diablo, but I think it's a very good idea. I'm very excited to hear them talk more about that at BlizzCon. And then a couple of the other things, like Demon Hunters starting at level 98. I think that's very good. They won't have to go very far to be caught up. No. It really wouldn't make sense for Demon Hunters to have to go through Draenor. Well, I mean, maybe that would make sense, but certainly not Pandaria or the Cataclysm. That wouldn't make sense for Demon Hunters.
What Demon Hunters are wearing leather, aren't they?
Yes.
Or is it cloth?
Yeah,
so,
leather.
Do Demon Hunters have the ability, if I roll a Demon Hunter, say day 1 of the expansion, do I have the ability to just equip all my leather heirlooms?
I would assume so.
Yeah, I would
98 to 100, but maybe not.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what stats they're using. I would assume they're using agility, aren't they? Or we do know that they're using agility.
No, it's just again, food for thought. I just thought,
yeah,
if it's priming that content for 2 levels, say it might push you, say, to 101 at best, maybe. But how many people are then going to think, well, actually, I've got all this heirloom gear, and then you might see Demon Hunters leaving that starting zone, that starting quest, like level 102.
Yeah,
you never know. So I hope Blizzard's prepared for that.
Well, I think that could be helpful. Then that would make Demon Hunters feel like they're not behind when they start their Demon Hunters fresh when the expansion comes out, instead of leveling their main character. So.
And they're wearing all the rogue gear,
which is kind of what I plan to do. Start a Demon Hunter first,
why not?
Honestly.
Are you how excited are you for? I mean, I presume you're going to roll Demon Hunter, and is that going to be the first character you're going to push for?
Like immediately upon servers opening, I am hitting create character Demon Hunter. So
So how excited are you for day one of just seeing 200,000 demon hunters roaming around, tagging your kills? Because I still remember Burning Crusade and rolling a Draenei day one of the expansion, and it was awful. I mean, excited to be a Draenei, but awful questing.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope they do something to fix it. I mean, Warlords launch was so shaky at first. I mean, like, just trying to get through Tanan Jungle, being funneled through with all the other players on the server, you know. I hope they don't do something that ridiculous. Maybe I will play my main character and then level a Demon Hunter now that I'm thinking about it.
I always find it...
The Demon Hunter starting zone is probably going to be just absolutely a mess at the hour of the launch.
And it's so weird as well, because all this time, you think like Wrath was, it, you know, that hero class started with an onslaught. I mean, you were taking on the Scarlet Onslaught, was it the Scarlet Crusade, or whichever version they were. Obviously, Pandaria started with an attack. Warlords started with attack, and these attacks, you know, the lore is that, you know, a couple of heroes are going through to fight off the hordes of enemies, but the truth is it's hordes of players smashing the NPCs to fit. And that's the thing, this Demon Hunter starting mission is a suicide mission, but it's going to look like Illidan sent 1 million Demon Hunters to take down 200, and it's just going to look like the biggest
unless the entire thing is instanced.
I hope so, because it's going to look absolutely ridiculous seeing these bosses just get absolutely overwhelmed, like as 1,000 demon hunters just attack its eyeballs.
Well, wouldn't that be cool if it was like a scenario type thing? The entire demon hunter starting zone is actually a scenario.
That would be better. I think if it is instance, it will just fit a lot better, like you say, with the technical issues we saw in Warlords. Yeah. I hope it is, because it needs to be prepared for that. Excuse the pun.
Or they go with the idea that I had last episode, where they, you know, release demon hunters like to people who have pre-ordered the game and let them actually level their demon hunters to a 100 in the burning or the Broken Shore pre-event.
Oh, I see.
I think that could also help with the clutter.
Yeah, that could be. That could help actually. Interesting. Plus, it will give us a bit of content before the release, so who knows?
And it'd be cool to see them just doing current content, you know.
Yeah, that's it, and perhaps integrate them into the game a little bit better, because like Death Knights, I'm sure there's going to be 1 million of them floating around, and you know, the problem is Demon Hunters are the first class. No, sorry, they're not the first class, but you think about probably the problems Death Knights posed. If everyone's playing Demon Hunter, who's going to be healing them? That's the issue you've got, really. I mean, you won't be short of DPS and tanks, that's for certain, but you won't have any healers. So it'd be for poor little priests like me to step up and use that insanity, because we love insanity. As we're leveling as Shadow Priest, which I hate. Oh. Anyways, rant over, sorry.
All right, well, I think that covers everything there, unless you have anything else to discuss.
Not at all.
All right, we can move on to, let's see. Addon turns World of Warcraft into a story-driven RPG. Now, I have yet to install this add-on, but I have looked into it, and it looks absolutely incredible. Britta, do you want to go over this a little bit?
Yeah, so obviously, and I'll post obviously the link to all the articles in the notes so you can follow it along. But what this is that someone has realised that WoW is effectively it's very, very strongly based on its storyline. Now, I realise in MMOs such as WoW, not a lot of people read the quest text because it's not very interesting. We're not there to read books, we're there to play games. I like to read the quest text, but admittedly, you know, even I get a bit bored of it. So someone has created an add-on called Storyline, and it's made by Kaji Sensei. And what it does is it turns quest dialogue, or the quest dialogue interface rather, into something, you know, certainly more akin to an RPG. So you have, instead of having that text, you know, that big letter, that script that you usually get when you open up a quest, you get a text box that wipes in. Obviously, it just fades in, and then it's a bit like the example it gives in the article is like Dragon Age. So you have your NPC and your character's on the left, and your NPC you're speaking to is on the right, and it has the text underneath them, and they're animated. So you literally are looking at your character talking to the other character, and it's just so much more of an interesting way to see it. I mean, Tarley, what do you think?
I think it's brilliant. You know, it really would change the way you quest. It kind of looks like Guild Wars. Guild Wars 2 kind of had a similar system as well. But I think it's awesome. It will actually bring people into the story. It kind of makes you feel, I don't know, like the quest line is actually worth reading when they do it this way. I don't know why, but
I think the interesting thing that sticks out in my mind is it's nothing like it in a sense, but I just get this vibe. You know, when you do the garrison missions, you have the characters looking at each other. So you have, the bad guys and the good guy, your followers looking at the bad guys. And this looks like it's pulled from that sort of image, as it were. Yeah. So you've got your character and the NPC talking to each other. And it's so weird. I've talked about this time and time again about how someone has done something better than Blizzard has. And it's brilliant. I mean, it's not a stab at Blizzard. It's incredible that they've taken something that you've kind of seen in the game already and applied it to questing. And it's brilliant. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, it really does. I think it really just kind of... It's refreshing if you do want to level on alt or something. This would be perfect. You install this, it'll kind of make questing just feel completely different. Which, I may just start a level 1 mage, because that's the class I don't have, and just install this add-on and enjoy the ride.
That's it. That's what it's about. But apart from that, I mean, other than what the photos show you, I think it's a must, really. Like you say, Tarley, if you're leveling an alt, you've probably seen the quest text for about 17 run-throughs. Why not shake it up a little bit?
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, and I think, I'm looking through the comments now, and it's just people saying that they've already downloaded it and they're loving it. So yeah, Kachi Sensei, well done. You've given us more content than patch 6.2. So.
All right, so now the last bit of news. Looks like World of Warcraft players favor the hunter above all other class. Looking at a quick statistic here on segmentnext.com, they have a little chart showing 6.2 class represented by item level, and hunters are like the highest item level class right now. Everybody plays hunters apparently. Monks being the lowest, not surprised by that. Death Knight's not even on the chart, which is kind of interesting. Yep,
it is. Just trying to make sense of it all, but it's... I don't know. I remember like years ago that there being that joke that everyone had a hunter, but I thought the classes were a little bit more balanced out by now. But saying that, this is, like you say, it's an item level representation. Does that mean, Tarley, that Hunter's going to get a nerf, do you think? Or I mean, monks are doing abysmally down there.
Yeah,
absolutely abysmally.
Yeah, and we don't even see Warlocks or Death Knights on this chart for some reason. But yeah, I don't know what that has to say. I mean, I have to say, as far as PvE goes, Hunter may be one of the easiest specs to play, and that could be why. They just don't have that many buttons to press, they kind of stand there and shoot things. Maybe that's why people like them. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely a fun class. I have a hunter. I like my hunter a lot. I guess I can't really make sense of this. Why hunters are #1.
So
they're not even the highest damage class. So
no, I mean, looking if we rank them according to generally where they're sitting on the graph, it looks like hunters are the most eye leveled at present. Then it's druids,
paladins,
pallies, priests or
mage.
Like a priest or mage or chamois. They're kind of tied. It looks like,
and then rogue, and then monk,
rogue and then monk. And like you say, we're missing
a couple. They're just off the charts.
Maybe that's it. Maybe but saying that,
and warrior isn't on there either.
Warrior's not on there, so it's not really a complete or accurate necessarily graph, but still it's an interesting indication, and I think it's probably most interesting because hunters look like they're going to go through probably the biggest shift of all class wise when we hit Legion. And I just wonder whether, I don't know, presumably based on this graph there are more elite hunter players than any other class, so to speak, and I just wonder how that might change once you see the talent system change, and once you see, obviously, is it survival hunter going nearly?
If I were to guess why hunters are the most elite geared, is probably because they actually bring the most to the table. Hunters, because they can pull sufficient damage, not the top damage, but they can pull sufficient damage rather easily. making them actually able to do other things. Like hunters are the class that you see in a raid, like going over and hitting the button, or going over and killing the ad, or so hunters bring a lot of utility, and that's why probably a lot of people have hunters in their raids.
Definitely, no, that's exactly it. Whereas you look at what is it been about monks in this expansion? I mean, I know monks have had a really tough time.
Blizzard made them, and then they're like, no more, we hate them. That's kind of what it seems like.
I don't know why they struggled so much. I mean, like you say, they're kind of they're the Death Knight, the Demon Hunter that never was. It seems like they've just had such a tough time.
Yeah.
Like other specs have seen that. Shadow Priests, I've heard, are just doing absolutely awful and just can't compete at all. DPS, and I don't know what to say. Like, how do you fix that? How do you fix that issue? I mean, Mage, Priest, Shaman are all relatively balanced.
Well, they're gonna need a complete overhaul, really, and they can't really do that kind of they can't do that kind of overhaul without a new expansion or a major patch. So we really won't see Monk fixed until Legion, unfortunately. But I think we're going to hear a lot about that at BlizzCon. We're going to hear a lot of class overhauls at BlizzCon, which I'm quite excited for.
It's actually interesting looking at this a little bit closer, because in other statistics, which I can't find for the life of me, I think it links to an MMO set of statistics, but they said that they also looked at races, and humans came up top.
Yep.
What a surprise. But goblins were at bottom. And I don't know whether I'm surprised by that or not. I'm trying to think what goblins bring to the table.
Well, they're just plain ugly, honestly. I mean, I don't want to play a goblin just because they're the short little orcs, basically.
Yeah, stunted orcs. I mean, they're just they're like gnomes, but gnomes have such a popularity to them.
Right, and gnomes are cute, The goblins are not.
It's I've got so many memes stuck in my head now, but yeah, again, we'll try and look at these statistics a little bit closer, and if there's anything interesting that comes up next week, we'll bring it up. But otherwise, it looks like in general, hunters are having a really good time. Yeah. In terms of eye level, and I'm not that surprised. And also, they tend to peak. Am I wrong in thinking they're peaking around sort of the 690 that area at the moment? It seems to be the case. So it looks like there's a little bit of a drop off once you get to the 700s, the 710 eye levels. Yeah. Whereas every other class seems to at least peak upwards. Right. Apart from Pallies. Pallies actually drop out, which makes sense because I play a Pally and I'm not hitting those numbers just yet. I'm sitting around sort of 680 at the moment.
Yeah, so, I'm like around 665. That's how little I play PvE. So
we're bringing the statistics down, Tarley.
I know.
But interesting, nevertheless, and we'll put the article in the notes and let you guys have a look
at it. Yep. All right, so moving on to the discussion of the week.
And then he swooped down from above. I tell ya, you should have seen the size of those wings. I swear, Borundax could hardly cut through a gnome. What's a Drenna anyhow? Can I drink it?
Discussion of the week.
That's right, it's time for the discussion of the week, where we find something and discuss it.
What?
It's a bit odd, I know. But this week we have a simple topic, and that is, will the Warcraft movie save the game? There's an article about this, and Britzo, why don't you lead us into this topic?
Yes, so naturally everyone's heard WoW died a couple of weeks ago. No one plays it. It's basically you listening, Tarley and I. We are Warcraft Universe. But on a serious note, it's obviously we've heard about the subscriber loss. Everyone's heard about the subscriber loss. Everyone said WoW is dying. No one's looking necessarily positive to the future. I think Legion is simply a very faded beacon of hope at this stage. I don't think people are jumping to say that it's going to bring subscribers back. So naturally, they've turned to the next thing that could potentially bring loads of subscribers back, and that's obviously the movie. So generally, the article that's on Den of Geek is just generally discussing how the film itself is probably, and this is a very quick summary of what is a very long article, is that whilst Warlords and whilst perhaps the expansion of WoW aren't necessarily bringing anything new to the table, the film is, in a sense, it's bringing something that people haven't necessarily seen, that we haven't been able to experience. Certainly not more recent players, unless you're a real veteran of Warcraft, you wouldn't have necessarily been familiar with the story that the Warcraft movie is going to try and portray. And in general, this is hopefully going to appeal just to geek culture in general and just a wider audience. I'm personally not 100% sold on the idea that tickets in the cinema are going to transfer into subscriptions, but I do think that whilst they are saying that, you know, in their own words, veteran WoW players or returning players are likely to see the Warcraft movie, you will get a renewed interest in general as Blizzard starts to up its marketing, as it starts to think, you know, think about all the other games it's going to be talking about, you know, Hearthstone, it's going to be talking about Heroes of the Storm, which are also going to pull people towards Warcraft, hopefully, rather than away from it. So that's it. It's just generally saying the Warcraft movie's hopefully got enough pull to bring casual fantasy fans, role players, MMO players, or people who are interested in MMOs to WoW. And we're going to now talk about whether that's actually true. So, Tarley, do you think that's true? Do you think the Warcraft movie can do it, based on what you've seen so far of it as well?
Absolutely. You know, I'm just seeing the leak and then seeing what I saw at BlizzCon last year. You know, I think the movie is really going to capture the feel that the game first brought to me when I first started playing it. You know, I think the movie's really going to capture the universe, and it's going to make you it might make you fall in love with Azeroth all over again, you know. And I think it could do that for completely new people too, people who have never played Warcraft before, or people who know nothing about it. I think this movie will bring a lot of interest into that universe. It'll be and that could actually bring subscribers to World of Warcraft. Now, whether the movie does, like, you know, it's the top grossing movie of all time, I don't necessarily think that will reflect in the Warcraft numbers. I don't think it could necessarily save WoW, but I think it could bring a lot of people to it, even temporarily. You'll see a boost in subscriber numbers. But
do you think, I mean, something that's kind of just crossed my mind is that we've talked about adding content to the game, right, to try and energize the player base, to, you know, give us a reason to actually continue being fans of WoW rather than unsubscribing. Do you think the Warcraft movie is going to be enough to energize people? Do you think it's one of those films where we're going to watch it and go, actually, I really want to play some WoW right now?
It definitely will bring that energy, but Blizzard has to keep up with that. We can't keep getting Warlords of Draenor expansions, you know. Blizzard has to deliver on the game side, not just the movie. Yes, the movie will bring people to the game, so Blizzard has to then be making good content to keep those people. But who knows? Maybe WoW will die, and the future of the Warcraft universe is in cinema instead of in the game. Who knows?
It makes me wonder though, like, whether the game that, I mean, I really hope there's not a Warcraft movie, the game, coming to PS4 and Xbox One. I hope to God there's not. But
that would be awful.
It would be awful, and, you know, Blizzard's not prepared to cut its own foot off so desperately. But I just think a lot of people have said, you know, WoW's, you know, if WoW, how can I put it? WoW is not the game, in my opinion, that Warcraft movie fans are going to want to play. Warcraft 4 is the game Warcraft movie fans are going to want to play, because that's what you're actually doing. When you think about what Warcraft movie is trying to show, it's trying to show heroes and armies clashing. World of Warcraft is about you being the hero and you taking the fight yourself,
right,
and going out and just tackling the world. And I think that's the difference, is that you know, World of Warcraft, and the article actually sums this up quite well. You know, in World of Warcraft, you are the hero, and you're supposed to be the hero. Whereas the Warcraft movie, there's loads of them bashing about. I mean, there's 10 a dozen, you know, floating around, cutting up orcs, cutting up humans. But it's orcs versus humans, and there was a game that did that really, really well. It was called
Warcraft.
Warcraft, orcs versus humans, and it's I think really, and whether this is right or not, I think if Blizzard wants to capitalize this and draw fans in, I think they should prepare. They should have Warcraft 4 ready to greet them. And I don't know if they're actually ever going to do that. I'm not saying whether that's a good thing or not. I'm just saying I think if you wanted to get players from the movie onto Blizzard games, Warcraft 4 would be the game to catch them on. But, you know, saying that, we don't know what players might think. They might be returning WoW fans, or they might be people who've heard a bit about WoW and they start to see stuff about Legion. So that would be great. I mean, I don't know if Warlords is the best expansion. You want players to go from the Warcraft movie straight into WoW if they're fresh. Might be a bit too much for them, but still, it's interesting. But at the same time, Tarley, do we think... We know that the movie's coming out in November. In terms of the
movie comes out in June.
In June, sorry. I don't know why I'm thinking of it. BlizzCon happens in November, that's why I'm getting confused. But the movie's coming out in June. So we would expect to have seen the expansion before that.
Yeah.
Or Legion before that.
If Legion hasn't come out before that, then...
Okay. Well, I've heard some rumours that fall. There was an article. I guess we'll talk about it next week if it's relevant. But there was an article that said that based on Blizzard's release schedule, it's fall 2016 is the most likely. And God help us if it is.
No.
But what I want to say is, obviously, let's presume that Legion's come out and the player base is excited. It's in the middle of Legion, and then the Warcraft movie comes out. Do you think Legion is the best expansion for WoW players to start in? And this is a more general question. Do you think that the shape of WoW when Legion is in full swing is going to be in the best, because it is a fan service expansion. It's just got loads of stuff that's from old expansions. It's got Illidan, which only previous players would know about a lot about, or Warcraft 3 fans would really know about. It's got, you know, we're in the middle of a war that kicked off in the last expansion. All this stuff is happening, and you've got Jaina doing stuff now, and people aren't going to know why she's got a weird hair thing going on or anything like that. I just wonder whether you think, if I was a fresh player and I said, listen, Tarley, I'm going to play World of Warcraft, I'm going to join you out there, whether I'm going to have a lot of fun going into Legion, as opposed to like if we'd gone in at Wrath of the Lich King or something like that. Long-winded question, I know, but I guess do you think Legion's the best place for people to start their WoW journey? I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I think it could be. We don't know enough about Legion to fully answer that question, but it really seems like it's bringing a lot of content, and you know, there's so far not as many dungeons as Wrath or Burning Crusade or anything like that, but it really seems like Blizzard is listening to their player base for once in the last 4 years, and they're really bringing stuff that players want. Artifact weapons are really cool, and you know, Demon Hunter seems like a really cool class, and class orders, and just all of this stuff that's being added to the game. I think they're going in such a right direction that yes, I think Legion could be a perfect time for new players to hop in, not feel completely lost, and experience some really cool content. And so the movie coming out around this time too, bringing new players into Legion, yeah, I think it could all fit, and I think Blizzard releasing Legion around the time of the movie would be really good, and not next fall. Like a year from now. God, no.
Although saying that, they were very keen to dismiss the fact that I know that I'm not suggesting they were ever thinking about tying in the release of the game around the release of the film or vice versa or anything like that. Right. But they are very keen to say the film's the film and the game's the game. Right. They operate independently. So again, we don't know how synchronized these are going to be, they're coincidentally or not. And all we know is that the devs have said the expansion will come out before or after the movie. Right. So
I mean, with beta coming out this year for Legion, it can't be that late, you know. I would expect Q1 or Q2 at the latest of next year for Legion, but yeah. At
the very least, because you'd want to see the benefit of those subscribers returning early in the year, because you don't want to be going into Q3 with less than 5 million subscribers when you could have got back 7 million, and then got the movie to release and brought more in. So yeah, no. But was there anything else that, you know, any other impact that you think the movie's going to have? I mean, what impact do you think it's going to have on Blizzard in general, the other franchises? Do you think Heroes is going to be an interesting game, or?
Well, I think it will make the Blizzard universe want, or the Blizzard player base want more Because I think the movie's going to be really good. I already think that. I hope I'm not disappointed, but I think the movie's going to be good, and it's going to make the player base want similar things out of the other games, which could be totally doable. But I think like StarCraft players are going to see the Warcraft movie and be like, holy crap, that was good. I want to see something like that for StarCraft. And then same thing for Diablo.
Yeah.
That's what I think is going to happen. We're going to see a ripple effect, and then I think Blizzard's going to really expand on this movie if it does well. I think we're going to see a lot more, maybe even like a Diablo TV series or something. But
oh my god, that would be insane.
Yeah. So I think the movie could do a lot for Blizzard, not just increase WoW subscriber numbers. I think it could bring a lot of interest, a whole new avenue for Blizzard to go with the way they entertain people.
StarCraft Ghost film.
Yes.
It work as a game,
yes.
do it as a film, damn it. And at the same time, part of me, though, would love to see the sort of movies that we see in intros, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, this is live action with huge CGI elements, but I wouldn't mind seeing like a pure CGI film because we've seen the quality Blizzard can put out. I mean, I realize. I mean,
just looking at Overwatch's cinematic that they released at BlizzCon, that looked like a Pixar movie. I mean, that was incredible.
It could have been a Pixar movie. They could have slapped Pixar on the end of it, and I think people would be queuing at the cinema already.
Yeah. So you almost forget that Overwatch is a thing, but that's a whole nother avenue for them to go to with storytelling and stuff with that game. So
it could be the case that eventually the games die out, but we've just got all these movies coming out,
and Blizzard just becomes another Hollywood entity.
Yeah, that's it. doing spin-offs with Adam Sandler.
Oh god.
Adam Sandler is
Thrall.
Adam Sandler is Thrall. I was going to say he was Kane in the Diablo film.
Diablo!
Oh dear. I think I've destroyed enough franchises today.
Okay, so anything else on the Warcraft movie before we go to the last segment of the show?
No, as I said earlier, I can't wait to see more of it, and it's something I'm genuinely so excited for. But it's really like, as we're finding with Legion, it's hard to get really excited about something you know almost nothing about. So the quicker we see information, but I realise what I've heard, and I'm so excited because what I've heard, even in the murmurs, even in the leaked footage, which even now I can't see, it looks amazing. Even on that grainy footage, I mean, I saw the stills at least, and it does look really, really good. So only good things. It certainly can't damage the franchise, and that's saying something.
All right, so moving on to Heroes Call. Yes, I am doing it with the sounder every time now.
Harmonizing.
I mean, it's my voice in the sounder anyway, so why not, right?
Eventually, you won't need the sounder. You'll just do it anyway.
I'll be able to harmonize my own voice. All right, so Heroes Call. Heroes Call is where we call upon heroes, and really, it's where we have shout-outs. And I'd love to give a shout-out to our friend who is not here, long-lost friend Zool. Shout-out to you. Miss you, buddy. Hope you get back soon.
Yeah, he'll be back. He'll be back. He'll be prepared.
Back.
Any other shout-outs for you, Tarley?
No.
No. I just want to do some shout-outs very quickly. Obviously, shout-outs to all the listeners. Still, I'm absolutely shocked each week, and I tell Tarley and Zord that I'm absolutely shocked that this thing keeps growing, and that people, actually more and more people keep listening to us. I don't know if that means we're doing really well, or there's another podcast that is dying horribly somewhere. But nevertheless, we really appreciate all the support and just listening each week. It's absolutely fantastic. The other thing I want to say thank you to is, or a shout out rather, is ourselves, Epic Geeks, because not too long ago we set a milestone of trying to get 500 subscribers for the YouTube channel, and it was a long battle because every time we'd get 18 inactive accounts would be deleted and bring us back down. But now we've officially passed the 500 mark, and in particular I want to give a special shout out to Geeks of Nexus, which is obviously our WildStar podcast, who are absolutely killing it in terms of WildStar. They're absolutely, and I mean a good way. They're doing some really great stuff over there. So by the way, if you're interested in WildStar, if you're interested when it goes free to play at the end of the month, You know, maybe you're affected by the lull in WoW. You might want to try something different on the side as well to keep you entertained. Check out Geeks of Nexus. Sparky and Drakas are over there, and they'd love to have you. And they're getting us pulled in, aren't they?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to be playing Wildstar again when it goes free to play.
It's going to be interesting. So yeah, hopefully we'll be helping out with that. But just to give a shout out to everyone at Epic Geeks, because it's a small but fantastic achievement.
All right, and with that, it's about time we wrap up the show. Thank you, everybody, for listening in. We do appreciate it, as Brits has said. Thank you so much for making the show what it is today. We couldn't do it without you, so thank you for listening. You can always check out our show on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and Twitch. You can also catch us on Twitter at Geeks of Azeroth. You can find me personally at Tarley_pause with a Z. Where can we find you, Britza?
You can find me at Britza_EG.
And you can find our long-lost compadre, Zool, at ZoolGeek. And if you have any questions, hate mail, if you really want to know where Zool is, if you have any information on where Zool is and how we can get him back, send that to geeksofazerotheg@gmail.com. Also, remember to check out all the content that we produce, like Geeks of Nexus. Also, Let's Talk Geekdom, the show that Britza and Zool and the other new member, what is her name again? Oh, please, I'm so sorry.
RC.
Check that show out at www.epicgeeks.co.uk. Let's Talk Geekdom is awesome. I enjoy listening to that every week. You guys are awesome. So definitely check that out. Otherwise, we'll be back same time, same place next week. Everyone have a great week, and